What is up, my fellow Chibits, to the weekly Tokyo Ghoul manga chapter video, this time on chapter 128. Now, as you can see by the title, I am mixing it up this week. I am not doing a live reaction. Many have been begging me and asking me to do a review video instead of live reactions, and so I hear you. I listen loud and clear. I know many of you really like, these type of videos, and so I hear you loud and clear. I'm going to be doing a discussion video instead of a, like live reaction, so just giving an FYI. So if you came here for a live reaction, sadly, you're not going to get it, because I didn't record one, and I'm not going to fake a live reaction either, because that's fucked up. So, basically, yeah. No live reaction this week. It's gonna be just a straight up review, discussion, analysis, just depending on where it goes. I'll figure out the title once I'm done with this video. And always, as how I start these videos, I'm just gonna say, I don't know how long this video is gonna be. And it can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 40 minutes, I have no idea. I don't know how long this video is going to be, so if it's short or long, please forgive me depending on wherever time I end this video at. I just want to give that FYI. So, as always, like I normally do with, reviews of Tokyo Ghoul, since it's been a while to give you guys an update, I want to be going through panel by panel, kind of looking at everything, discussing it, the meaning behind it, and kind of what the next option for the series is. So, chapter 128 of Tokyo Ghoul continues off with the events of last chapter, chapter 127. Now, one of the big things I want to discuss before I get into the events of this chapter is the big thing from last week, and that is the time skip. We know that there is a time skip, and I took to Twitter last week around Monday, Tuesday, it was somewhere around there. I forget the exact date I did it, but last week I took to Twitter to kind of just discuss it because it dawned on me that basically we don't really know how much time has passed. We don't know if it was like a week that passed since the entire events of Toka and Kaneki having sex. We don't know if it was just a day, which I highly doubt. We don't know if it was a couple months to a year, maybe years. We really did not know. And one of the big things everybody was discussing was, like, how much time did pass. I mean, it didn't seem like many of the characters aged, so obviously it couldn't have been like 10 plus years. But that was the big thing last week that Minnie was discussing, actually. And I was surprised Minnie was thinking it just like I was in last week's, chapter. So I took to Twitter, and I was talking about a possibility of a time skip. Maybe, I didn't say it was correct, but maybe 10 years because of the whole beginning of last week's chapter and how it started off with basically saying, oh, it's been 10 years since you opened the shop. And the shop looked very similar to the cafe that was destroyed, Toka's shop she opened up. So, many were speculating, myself included, that maybe 10 years passed. But the only thing that made this theory fall through was the fact that, none of the characters looked like they really aged. And also, Furta didn't really take over the ward. So, many were assuming that that couldn't be possible, but we know there was a time skip, though. We just don't have clarification to how long, because Naki learning, that's not something that's just done in a couple of days. No, that cannot be done in a couple of days. Naki is a character that we have seen throughout the journey of Tokyo Ghoul, to where he is brain dead, but he's a lovable brain dead. I love the man, but he is someone that cannot speak properly or say certain things, which is understandable, I mean, for his upbringing. So, the way he is, the way his character is, I just don't feel like he could learn some big vocabulary words just in a matter of days. I just don't think that's a possibility. So, there's definitely a time skip. Well, like I said, we don't know how long. I'm going to assume at the earliest, maybe a month, maybe 3 months. And I could see around, if Ishida wants to go this direction, maybe it's been about 6 to 7 months since, the entire events with Toka and Kaneki having sex, because of what Nishiki did in this chapter, which I'll get into when I get to that part of the chapter. But basically, though, one quick thing I want to clarify is that there was a time skip. And also, this chapter kind of concretes the fact of what I said in my live reaction last week of how Kaneki is an actor. And this is something he has always been. It's been a part of his character since the beginning of the series. We know, thanks to Hide, that Kaneki, at one point in time, he was in a play, and he played the king, and he didn't want to be it, he didn't want to be the king, he didn't want to really be a part of it, but he played the king, and he was a very good king. And there's been so much symbolism and, like, meaning behind that entire scene with Hide and Kaneki, and for future events that have already happened in this series, that's just absolutely ridiculous, but I'm not going to dive into that right now. Basically, though, Kaneki has always been an actor, not just because of that scene, but throughout his entire life, he has been acting. He's always wore a mask. He has always lied to himself since we first met him in the first chapter of Tokyo Ghoul. Not Tokyo Ghoul. And the reason why is because we know he was lying to himself. He had a false personality. He wasn't viewing the truth from his past or whatever happened with him and his mother. And as I've discussed a lot, we don't know what happened to his parents. For all we fucking know, Kaneki could have killed his mother. We don't know. We cannot trust Kaneki's memories, but in the actual part 1, or even, you know, early stages of part 2. We cannot fucking trust that shit because of everything we now know of Kaneki. He was lying to himself the entire time. He's aware of everything, but he was lying to himself. So, we can't trust everything that he has thought of in the past, or his flashbacks, because he had falsified memories. He was thinking of fake shit that was maybe somewhat truth, but not completely accurate. So, Kaneki's always been an actor. It's a part of his character. He's always able to put a mask on and play the part. And that's what he has been doing since he has become the One-Eyed King. He didn't really want to be the One-Eyed King. He didn't. He really didn't at all. But the only reason why he stepped up and assumed the mantle was because of those that got him there in the first place. It's thanks to those that died to get him there. Eto and Arima. They were basically the previous kings, okay? Or the ones holding the seat, or warming the seat up for him. And with Arima's death and Eto's death, it's kind of like they passed the reins over to Kaneki, like, here you go. And Kaneki took this role to respect them, because without these two, he wouldn't be where he is at to this day. He would not have completely realized and understood who he was. He wouldn't have been the person he is right now without these individuals. And to respect them after death, if Eto is officially dead or not, we don't really know at this moment. Regardless if she's dead or not, he thinks she's probably dead, and so to respect them, he carried on their legacy, and he's also carrying on a lie, which is, once again, he's being an actor, which acting is, in a way, lying, because you are putting on a mask, and so Kaneki is lying, he's being that actor to play the One-Eyed King, and we have seen throughout the way he carries himself, especially with his talks with, you know, Sato, we know for a fact he doesn't really care too much with, you know, the overall role of wanting to save ghouls and stuff. There was more to it going on there, and he was chaining himself down with other little things, and that's how he could relate with Sato so well, is because he has been through that. And we know this thanks to the previous chapters we got. But there's been a massive shift in Kaneki's character, especially after what happened between him and Toka. Now, like I said, I'm not saying, you know, Kaneki is acting or not acting, because a lot of it, most likely, he is acting in this. But there is more emotion in it. You could see that by the way he carries himself in the chapter. There is definitely more weight behind his actions than how he was when he first assumed the mantle of the One-Eyed King. Because let's look at this, okay? Let's finally start looking at the chapter. So, it continues off with, you know, the last chapter. You know, everybody's just, you know, my king, looking up. And they're all basically worshipping Kaneki. I mean, there's even some in there with hoods on that look like, you know, they're priests or nuns or whatever. Like they're literally bowing down to a god. And many might assume Kaneki is a god. You gotta think about this. Kaneki is someone that's apparently dead, quote-unquote dead, in society because Furta apparently killed him. So, in turn, any ghoul that joins Kaneki's, you know, cause might assume he died, but somehow he rose back up and is alive. So he's kind of like the second coming of Christ or something, like he's Jesus. And so that is why they think, you know, he might be a god or something, or completely different or special. So many are rallying behind Kaneki like, my king, or my god. You know, they're just very happy with this, you know, role, this person that is being their symbol of hope. Because Kaneki right now is holding a very important role. Without him, ghouls would probably die out, or a lot of the society of ghouls would die out because of what Furta is doing. Without Kaneki, most likely the ghouls wouldn't know what to do. They would just succumb to death, and they would probably be eradicated completely, and only a couple of ghouls would live, like Furta the Clowns and stuff in the QS. So, yeah, it's not a good situation, and Kaneki needs to play this role. It's a very important role, and it makes sense why many would rally underneath him after everything that's going on the surface. It's looking like, you know, a very bleak society right now. Like, ghouls can't exist anywhere in the world. And we do know that not all ghouls are bad individuals either. Some are innocent individuals that are forced to do things that they just don't want to do, but they have to do it. Like I've said many times, Ghouls just need RC cells, and I've talked about how that maybe if, humanity worked with ghouls, maybe they can give some form of RC cells type food to them or whatever. They don't necessarily need to kill people. Ghouls can continue living on, but there's never been that compromise at all, and ghouls don't necessarily always want to kill. They just need what's inside the person, which is RC cells, and basically, some of them don't want to do these things, but they're forced to. And that's basically what's happening here. Like, they just don't want to do these things, but they have to be like this because they were born that way. And they're still being forced and hunted down for this because they're just being what's in their nature. It's kind of like this. If, a shark attacks a person, okay? Yes, it's awful thing that happened to the person getting attacked by a shark and probably have their leg bit off. But we gotta remember that's nature. That's just how nature is. That's how a shark is. That's how any animal in the wilderness or wild is. For instance, wolves, bears, anything. You go messing with a bear's cub, they're gonna fuck you up. That's how it is, and that's basically how Ghoul is, except they have, a mindset of a human being. They're like an evolved part of, the human species. They have their own mind, and they want their own things, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that they're all evil. They want to just kill people for the sake of killing, and that leaves them in this road of tragedy, because no side can make a compromise right now because the way society is being run, how the Washus are controlling everything, how V is controlling everything, how Furuta is controlling everything, just there's no compromise. They can't do anything. So obviously because of all this, rallying behind Kaneki makes so much more sense. So enough with that. I think I might have bored people with that. Please forgive me. I know I get a little bit long-winded with these reviews. Forgive me on that. I know many of you might not like that. Many of you might have already turned off this video because of that. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, let me go next page. Anyways, Kaneki, he raises his head and he dons the mask that we know him quite well for. It's the signature mask Kaneki has with the entire, eye patch and all that, and you just see how his one eye is popping out. He's just playing the role perfectly as a king. And everybody's just sitting there praising him like, oh, our king and all that. And you see even, Tsukiyami's like, yes, that's our king. And Ko, that was introduced, you can see by the way his expression is, he's not really impressed. Which, once again, adds on to the speculation that Ko could possibly be a spy. That was something that many were talking to me about. I was talking with everybody else about, too, that there is a potential possibility that Ko is a spy. Because he might be, a part of the new QS, Ogai, and he could be infiltrating into the 24th Ward to see what Kaneki's up to. And who's to say that this dude Ko is not the dragon that Furuta was talking about in this chapter? Remember what Furuta said. This so-called dragon, and they showed the QS. They went out of their way, or Ishida went out of his way to show the QS. Most likely has something to do with Ogai, because they're like the new generation. Either Ko is a spy, which might be the dragon that Furuta was talking about, or since they showed, or Ishida showed the old QS, it might be Shirazu. We don't really know what happened to Shirazu's body. We know for a fact there is a means to, at the very least, reanimate a corpse. Not officially bring the body back. We don't know the exact clarification to what it means when someone comes back. We don't know if it's actually them, or if it's RC cells gaining sentience and just controlling the body. We don't fucking know at this moment. There's not a lot of information on that. So I'm not going to go too deep into that because we just need more clarification on the matter. And Ishida will eventually give it to us, but just not now because it's not necessarily important until later on. For now, though, let's just factor in the fact that Dragon most likely is someone that we know of, or either Ko. It's either Ko right here, Dragon might be Shirazu, or... Now, many of you might be like, what the fuck if I say this one? But he might also be Hide. Think about this. Hide has always been a character that has eluded us. He's been out of the series for a very long time. And with the recent events of Tokyo Ghoul, especially with, bringing the dead back to life and how Furuta's being basically called a god now, I feel like Ishida might be implying something here. Like, maybe Hide is gonna come back. And it's not gonna be the Hide we know. And that final boss is basically Hide, and, Kaneki's gonna have to face him. Face the person that he respects a lot, someone that's like a brother to him. That would be very interesting. But it'd also be very interesting if it's Shirazu as well. But I feel like it would have more impact if it was Hide. but I could also see Ko as well. Regardless, though, I do see Shirazu coming back. Regardless if he is the dragon or not, I can definitely see Shirazu coming back because of the whole thing going on with, Hairu and stuff and Kuri. I feel like it's only a matter of time until we see Shirazu's corpse just pop up and start walking around. But anyways, enough of that, though. Let's just talk about the fact that Ko most likely is a spy. We just need to keep our eye on him for right now. There's only two roles he has. Either his role is a character that was introduced for the sole purpose of showing us the viewpoint of people that are new to Kanaki's cause, that don't really know Kaneki, but seeing him as a king. And they get to witness if he's a good person or a bad person, or he's a spy that's there to sabotage everything and kill Kaneki. One or the other is the only role I can see this character playing at this moment. So let's move on from that. Anyways, we see that the different tubes, like the pipes on this ceiling, which I discussed in my live reaction last week, there's a bunch of ghouls in these pipes, and I just want to take a moment to say that this entire underground structure is fucking massive. It is ridiculous in size how massive this entire underground labyrinth is. We have heard stories. We have heard so many things about this labyrinth in Part 1 Tokyo Ghoul, and it's been hinted at quite a few times. I mentioned this a little bit as well in the past, but we've never really gotten to see it before. And finally, for the first time, Ashida's really diving in and showing us these aspects of the world that we've been really curious about, and we're finally getting to see it. And this entire underground labyrinth is just scary big, because with the world building we get with this chapter, we found out that it was the original king that made it. He made this entire kingdom. He made this underground tomb. He dug it all out, he made it, and then he dug even deeper, very deep down. It's just scary how large this is and how many years this must have taken to be able to make. And the world building Ishida has done is absolutely insane, and it fits with the theme of ghouls, which I will get into also in a little bit in this video. But getting back on the topic, besides just the world building, because that's going to be saved for later, because I do need to go in depth with that. We see the ghouls in the pipes and all that looking down at Kaneki too, because, he fell from the ceiling and he's there. They're all looking around, everybody's just watching him, and Kaneki just throws up a bunch of Quinque into the air, which represents that he has disarmed a bunch of investigators. And that's an impressive thing, to be able to go and disarm that many investigators, because these tools are what hunt ghouls, but also these tools are many ghouls that were killed to be put into these weapons. So it's kind of like, we have saved your loved ones from being used against you, here you go. And that's what's happening here. But it doesn't just stop there. With Kaneki doing this, for him disarming ghouls, it kind of sends a message throughout his entire forces. It lets them know that he is trying, he is going out of his way to help everybody out on the surface. He's, making sure to make it a safer place. It's a work in progress. Yes, their back is against the wall. It's not good right now. They're all starving. Many need food. Many of them are going to die. Many children are going to die. But it's just how things are going to be. And so Kaneki is doing everything he can and uses himself as an example to showcase that it's not right to kill, that he's going out of his way to help them out, but he's doing it in a way to where he can build everlasting peace for the future even after he is gone. Because once he is gone, he can't help anyone else out. He wants to be able to set everything up to where if he is gone, there will still be peace for many, many generations to come. One day things will happen, obviously, but he wants to at the very least make that peace last as long as possible, which he is doing by teaching everyone that it's not right to go out of your way to kill people. So this is also explained through Tsukiyama and also Kaneki's conversation. Tsukiyama is like, at this rate, everyone's going to starve. Like, he goes into the fact with the food and stuff, and how, he's also not killing the CCG, but disarming them. He's like, Kaneki, you shouldn't just be stealing their Quinques. You shouldn't just be disarming them. You honestly should be killing them, because every foe you kill, obviously, is making their numbers dwindle, and they have less people in bulk to throw at us. But in turn, though, what Kaneki says holds very true. He says, if the ghouls are seen as terrifying creatures, it won't matter if we defeat the CCG. conflict will eventually break out again. Basically, to explain this is that it's a cycle. It's a very cliche trope, obviously. It's used in a lot of literature, not just anime and manga, but in a lot of literature. Movies to, TV shows, all that. It's used everywhere. And the trope is the fact that hatred or vengeance just brings upon more hatred and vengeance. It's just an endless cycle. War brings more war. Hate brings more hate. Anger brings more anger. Just that's how it is. It's an endless cycle. It will never stop. And the only way to end this cycle, yes, it's naive in some cases, but the only way to end it is by trying to just stand in the middle, build that bridge, build it, strong bridge, and make sure both sides understand it's not right to continually having an endless cycle back and forth. Because yes, Kaneki's group is very powerful. If they got down to it and probably devoured people and started eating doves and stuff constantly, they could probably wipe out a good portion of CCG until Furuta probably starts bringing everybody back to life and, using them against Kaneki. Basically, Kaneki might have a good chance if he did that, but it wouldn't make things right, because once they obliterate CCG, a new organization will eventually form. All those people you killed, all those doves or CCG investigators you killed, their family will eventually rise up and stand up against the ghouls once again to form a new organization. So there will never be an end if you continue to kill people. And that's what Kaneki wants to explain to Tsukiyama and everyone else. Yes, it's easy. It's easy to kill them and get rid of them, but always the easy way doesn't mean it's the right way. And that's basically what Kaneki is trying to say. But also we talk about the food situation as well. All the ghouls are going to be starving very soon. Because right now, since Kaneki is not killing people, he's telling Goat not to kill people, they're only eating suicide victims, which continues on with what we saw in the earlier portions of Tokyo Ghoul. Kaneki's always been one to eat suicide victims. That's the only people he will eat, because they're already dead, they took their lives, he's not going to take someone else's life by force. So he goes out of his way to get suicide victims and devour them and, give them to individuals. But because of how many people Kaneki has under him now, how all the ghouls are now being forced underground, there's obviously going to be a shortage in food. That's just a given. It's common sense. And it's even worse to when your entire motto is to not kill people, which that's what ghouls need. They need people to eat, and technically they need, RC cells, but yeah, there's no method at the moment for that. So, right now, Kaneki's in a spot. He needs to find a way to make it to where his people don't starve to death. He needs to find a means of them eating that is really a good way for them to continue on surviving, because if they're starving, they're not going to be able to perform properly, let alone use their Kagane. And Kaneki apparently can't even use his Kagane properly thanks to what Tsukiyama says. Like, it's even starting to affect him because he's not getting a proper meals to eat. Which, because is everything that's going on in the surface world, the development of the world, the country, and all that, to, what Furuta's been doing with the Ogai, there's just not many suicide victims for they can go out and grab anymore. And so because of that, it makes it to where getting food for everyone is very hard. So there's going to be a point to where Kaneki's going to need to make a very drastic decision. Does he go out of his way to consume, human beings to fuel his army? Or will he let everyone die and his dream will become a result of failure? That's the big question he is facing right now, because he cannot let his people starve. That's just how it is. He cannot let them starve. But at the same time, though, if Kaneki is to go out of his way to start murdering people, it goes against what he is trying to do in the first place. So he is at a very hard block in the road. How do you overcome this big brick wall? How do you overcome something like that? Because honestly, this is probably what many ghouls have tried to do in the past. There's probably been many in the past that are like Kaneki. Probably many that have tried to make peace, tried to find another way to bridge the gap if V didn't intervene. Like, if V didn't intervene or whatever, there's probably been ghouls out there that have tried to bridge this gap, but that it always comes down to this. Ghouls need to eat people. So, how do you overcome that? Is the question. And I believe the answer is probably underground where the original One-Eyed King was. So, let's think about this for a second, okay? One of the big things about this chapter that needs to be discussed is the fact that the underground tomb was made by the One-Eyed King, the original, the one in legends, in myth. We have all heard the story, reading Tokyo Ghoul time and time again. Probably many of us have reread the series, and we have all heard about the One-Eyed King. It was mentioned quite a few times. It was even mentioned recently, the past like 20 or 30 chapters ago, the original One-Eyed King, and how Kaneki took the mantle. There's been so many things that we have heard about this person, and we all assume this person was dead. But from what we can clearly get from this chapter is that the original One-Eyed King is not dead, which raises a lot of questions. A lot of fucking questions. Because number one, that first war was over 100 years ago. Yeah, 100 years ago. 100 years ago. Normally, you don't live that long. FYI, if you don't understand how long people live. So, especially, like, okay, let's look at it like this, okay? People don't live that long. 100 years, if the man is still alive, the man is easily pushing over 100 years old. Because if it was over 100 years ago that this person rose up, let's give or take this person is probably already 15, 20 something years old, he might be over 110, 120 years old. That's an old son of a bitch right there, if he is still alive. Now, going even further, I understand that he was probably the strongest ghoul, because this person, he was able to almost completely decimate CCG, just wipe everything out. But eventually he had to hide underground. But he was almost able to wipe everything out. So, a very powerful ghoul. A ghoul that probably is nothing we've seen before. This ghoul probably can just solo, maybe even someone like Arima. Maybe. That's probably how strong this person was. So, because of that, we gotta factor in that for this man to live that long, how is he alive? Especially if he lives so far underground. Now let's put that into consideration. So, we do know if he is still alive, he's underground. He's deep underground. He is in the, like, bottom of the tomb. He's in, apparently, a built city, according to Ayato, at the end of the chapter. A city that was built by the original One-Eyed King. Underground. In darkness. Let's not even just talk about how long that probably took to build a city under fucking ground. Let's not even think about that for a second. Let's just think about how this city was made and how they've been able to live underground. How are they not starving is the question. If you're that far underground, cut off from human society, how do you continue to live? How do you eat? What do you consume is the question. That is what I'm very curious about. And then a bigger question is, how are they still alive? Or the One-Eyed King still alive if he's probably not getting that much food? Unless there is another way that we're unaware of. And maybe he knows. Or something else. Maybe the One-Eyed King evolved. Who knows? Think about it like this, okay? There's been many speculations. I have discussed this many times. That ghouls are obviously evolved, humans. They have, like, ROS disease or something. They evolved past it, or they have it, or whatever. There's some clarifications that need to be done, but overall we know that they're, like, a subspecies. They have evolved from humanity. And what's to say that maybe the One-Eyed King has went through some form of evolution or something else has happened with him to where he may be able to push over 100 years old, or be able to eat something else. Who fucking knows? But then we also got to think about it like this. We don't really know how long a ghoul can live. Think about it like this, okay? From everything we've seen from Tokyo Ghoul, normally anyone that dies in the series, they don't die of old age. They die because of CCG, V, Washu. They always get hunted down or die. Even the old people. So when you think about it like that, what if the life expectancy of a ghoul is much higher? For instance, what if they can live longer life? I mean, look, they're already an evolved species of humans. What's to say that they don't have a longer lifespan? What's to say that? What's to say they might not be able to live a couple hundred years? But then again, it still begs the question, how is maybe the One-Eyed King still alive over 100 years old when he's probably not getting that good of food underground? Unless he has evolved to eat something else, or something else is going on that we're unaware of. So, there's a lot of questions there, but clearly, I feel like the way this is building up, it's going to be fucking hype. Because the One-Eyed King is probably one of the most built-up characters in Tokyo Ghoul. Like, not even joking. Like, it may not look like it on my face right now, but my excitement to find out the One-Eye King's identity, if he is still alive, is through the roof. Because I can't imagine how much information this character has on the world of TG. Just think about all the shit this man must have seen, or she must have seen. For all we know, it could be a she. I mean, manga love doing that. I've seen writers do that, like play it to where a king is actually, a female. So who's to say it's actually a dude? It could be a female. But regardless, though, the point stands is that I feel like this is going to be one of the most hype moments of the series, and also going to reveal so many things about the ghouls, ROS, to how long they can live, to what happened in the war. We might even go full-blown flashback arc. I mean, Sheena might do that. He might go full-blown fucking flashback with the One-Eye King if he's still alive, which, holy... Dude, I want to see that so bad. Oh my god. That would be so freaking awesome. But, yeah, anyways, this dude built this entire kingdom underground. Must have taken so many years, like so many years to make. It's astounding. It's just absolutely astounding how someone like this can go that far and make a society like that underground. It just really expands upon the world of TG. And it's really impressive, because it's always been there in our face that something like this was underground. We just didn't think too much about it. Now we're clearly seeing it, and Ishida's finally prepping this up to finally dive into those details. And that's what I really love about Ishida's writing. This man, when he hints at something, he dives into it. He doesn't just fucking throw it to the side and leave it as a plot hole or never explain it again. He actually dives into things he mentions hundreds of chapters ago. I really love that about writers. Any writer that does that, I truly respect, because I fucking hate it when I see something that's introduced and it's never gone back to. It's never explained. It's never clarified. It's just there to fucking be there. I'm not going to say which manga has done this in recent times, but there's some manga that's pissed me off because of that, and I'm just glad Ishida doesn't do this. I'm glad he actually talks about these things he mentions maybe on the first chapter. I really appreciate that. I mean, as someone that's just a reader, okay? Not even as a YouTuber slash reviewer of this series that really loves talking about it. Just as a person that reads this series and is a fan of this series, I truly am happy Ishida does this, because it shows he respects his audience. He respects his fan base. He's not trying to just throw them a middle finger and say, nah, fuck you, you're not getting this information. I'm just happy he goes this far. It just really makes me satisfied with Ishida's writing when he does this. But getting back on topic, though, I'm sorry, I get a little bit off topic sometimes. Many of you probably stopped watching this video because of how long-winded, once again, I'm getting. But, okay, anyways, back on topic, though. Let's move into Tokas. So there's an entire situation with Kaneki and Tsukiyama. As we know, they're talking about the food, to, killing and not killing, whatever. We see, Kaneki's taking a shower, and he is wearing the necklace, the ring necklace that Toka gave him in the middle of the shower, which just shows that he's still holding on to it. And Tsukiyama asked the question, which just signifies how much Kaneki has changed, how he's no longer just playing the acting role as the One-Eye King, he's now actually taking charge and being the true king. Tsukiyama's like, by the way, Kaneki, since when have you been so concerned with the future of the ghouls? Because you gotta remember, Tsukiyama has followed Kaneki for a long while. He knows that something's off with Kaneki. He may not know everything, he might not understand everything Kaneki thinks, but he's been around him to know long enough when something's wrong or when he's acting a little bit different than normal. And Tsukiyama's, you can clearly see, catching on to this, and he's like, Kaneki, you've changed. It's like a nod, like he's saying that you definitely are no longer just playing the role of the king or acting. You now are being an official king. You definitely care about the future of the ghouls now. And what this means is, and we can all officially jump for joy, is that Toka is pregnant. Let's think about it. Why do you care about the future of the ghouls? Obviously because of his recent relationship with Toka. But also because he had sex with her, which would mean that she's probably pregnant. We don't know exactly how she's going to conceive this child, because we don't know how the biology of, someone that was once human being turned into a half-ghoul would work with a female ghoul. We don't really know how that's going to work completely. We don't know if the baby being born is going to be born at all, or probably be a miscarriage. We have no idea. But at this moment, though, Kaneki is looking towards the future, not just because of his relationship with Toka and his friends, but also for maybe his future child and his legacy to continue on. And that's basically what's going on here and what the ring signifies. Not just Toka, but also his child. And what makes this even clearer, and what Ishida tries to clarify with this, is that as soon as that is done, after, Tsukiyama asks Kaneki, we see children. Children talking to Toka. What better way to basically imply that she is pregnant than to show children with Toka? Come on. It's fucking Ishida. This is Ishida, a man that symbolizes and foreshadows and does some crazy shit, okay, with cards and stuff. And this man throwing children right after that scene in a panel with Toka is just saying, yes, she's pregnant. Here you go. She's gonna probably have a child. Ishida's clarifying that for all of us. So there we go. Anyways, they're talking about, books and stuff to children. It's just, a nice casual conversation. Nishiki finally pops up. He talks about the situation of the food, which I've already covered in this video, so I'm not going to dive into that. He talks to Toka about, what's her brother doing, what's he currently doing, like, is he still underground, is he back yet? Apparently he's still underground, which we know I've kind of already discussed that as well. And they also talk about the suicide victims, to also whatever Nishiki has to give her, which this is the big point I wanted to talk about. So Nishiki hands Toka a package, or a bag, or something. And this is the very strange part about this, okay? This bag, we don't know what's in it. You can't see. It's a small little bag. And I'm personally assuming, okay? That's probably a pregnancy test if not much time has passed. Or it might be some form of medicine or something. We don't know exactly how ghoul pregnancies are. Ishida hasn't clarified that yet as well. We don't know exactly how ghoul pregnancies work. I mean, are they very similar to, humans? For instance, do they get, nauseous and cravings for other things that they normally wouldn't crave? Like, for instance, how mothers that are pregnant, they might want a jar of pickles for whatever fucking reason. Maybe Toka wants something different compared to what she normally eats or something if she is pregnant. Who's to say she might want human food? I mean, who the fuck knows? What if she's craving, like, a sandwich or something? A regular bologna sandwich? I mean, it might be disgusting for her, but maybe she's craving it and she wants to eat it. Or, like I said, it's a pregnancy test, or it's medicine for nausea or whatever. I mean, we don't really know exactly how a ghoul pregnancy works. Everything we know from the biology of ghouls, they're very similar to, humanity. All their organs and everything. The only thing that's different is just their, their kako, their sac inside of them, which expels RC cells, which becomes a cognate. That's really the only thing that's really different. Also, their kakugan as well. So, besides those distinct differences, they're similar in biology, from what we know of. So, don't know. Maybe medicine will work or something. Well, I have no idea. That is a very good question I have right now about this. I mean, for him to ask this, or he's like, I'm not going to ask what it's for, I'll do you that favor. So, it's something very personal. Like, whatever Nishiki got for Toka is very personal. It's like something personal where he doesn't want to invade her privacy. He respects her enough not to invade her privacy for whatever he just gave her. He knows what it is, but he's respecting her privacy. And for him to ask, like, I don't even know what it's for, it makes you question, is it really a pregnancy test? Because for him to ask for what it's for, unless it's a translation error, then he would already know what a pregnancy test is for, to check if you have a baby. So, if it's not that, he wouldn't ask that type of question. What is it for? It might be food, like regular human food. Since Kaneki was once human, it might be a half human, half ghoul. Or it's medicine or something. Who knows? Regardless, though, something's going on with Toka. Something definitely clarified with the situation with Toka and Kaneki's relationship. That it's almost 100% that Toka is pregnant at this moment. It's basically 100%. Well, will she be able to have this child? Who the hell knows? She's probably going to die, or the child's going to die. One or the other most likely will happen. Anyways, though, we shift over to CCG. So, the perspective changes to Suzuya, and we know he's been building it for a while now. He has been going through a lot of issues. For instance, he knows now that the way CCG operates is not proper. Everything he knows of CCG is kind of like a lie. He's starting to understand this. Suzuya is not a dumb kid. He's someone that's very intelligent. He's proved this too. And he's realizing that there's something really wrong here in the corruption that's happening, and that maybe his overall meaning for fighting is just not right anymore. But the only reason why he's been doing it is thanks to someone he deeply cares about and thinks of like a father, Shinohara. And we know Suzuya definitely cares about Shinohara because of what Uta did to him. We know he deeply cares about him. Someone like Suzuya to just stall up like that with Shinohara popping up, or the face of Shinohara popping up, shows that Suzuya does care about him. So he's conflicted right now. He knows what's going on is really wrong. That the ghouls, they're not probably the major enemy right now. But at the same time, though, if he was to help them, it's like he's betraying Shinohara, his mentor. He's, removing him out of his life or going against what he wanted him to do. And so it's like he would be betraying someone he really respects if he was to go work with Kaneki. So he's in a part where he's conflicted. He doesn't know what to do as a person. And it's very understandable. Throughout the entirety of Suzuya's life, he's had a very horrible upbringing. He's lived with ghouls. He knows how ghouls are, but he knows that some ghouls can be probably good. But at the same time, though, his entire role as a person was to hunt ghouls. And if that's gone, what happens? Let's say he doesn't even want to, join Kaneki's side. Let's say Kaneki loses, that all the ghouls die. What purpose does Suzuya have? Nothing. His entire purpose in life was to kill ghouls. So if that's gone, what's left for him? What's left for him to do as a person? That's the question. And so when he basically says, I guess I'll just become a ghoul, it's not that he will become a half ghoul or whatever like Kaneki. He might still become that. But it's more of a symbolic message that Ishida's trying to imply with Suzuya's character, that once the ghouls are gone or dead, people like Suzuya would be outcasts. They will be ghouls. They'll be the outcasts of society. They'll be people that are looked at as if they're monsters, murderers, people that need to be gone, because people like Suzuya doesn't need to exist in a world without ghouls. And so he's like, I guess I'll be a ghoul. I'll be an outcast. I won't need to be in this world anymore. That's what he's trying to imply with that. It's not that he's saying he's going to become one, it's just that he would be like one in terms of just the social standing and all that. Anyways, next scene we move into the clowns. So, I really don't know how to peg Uta as a character. He's one of the most mysterious characters in this fucking manga. I don't know if he is a good guy, a fucking bad guy. I don't know if he is just Joker incarnate. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming he's just fucking Joker. He just wants to watch the world burn. After what we saw him do to Mutsuki and all that, and what we saw Donato do to, Urei, I'm assuming they're just like the Joker. They just want to watch the world freaking burn. They just want chaos and stuff. That's what I assume. It really always boggles my mind, like, whose side are they really on? I mean, they're probably on their own side. It's just like, holy shit. I mean, with the connections they have and all that, you'd think they would care a little bit, but clearly they don't. Anyways, though, Itori, she finally pops up in the manga after all of this time. Honestly, she finally popped up. Many of us have been asking where she is at. Like, she's been out of this series since the end of Part 1 Tokyo Ghoul. She has finally reappeared in the manga in the latest chapter. We don't know what she's been up to, which, Shida, please clarify that. I want to know what she's been doing, because why has she just been gone for so long? We've seen everyone else, but not her. What she had been doing. Like, what has she been doing outside of everything that's been going on from the events of Tokyo Ghoul Re? There has to be something. So, besides that question, we need to take notice of what the symbolism that's going on here in these pages. So, we all know about the checkerboard pattern. It's a common theme in Tokyo Ghoul. I am not the first that's probably going to say it to you. There's probably been many others that probably said to you already about the checkerboard pattern, the black and white and all that, the squares or diamonds. It's been constantly mentioned. It's just a reoccurring theme that's been in Tokyo Ghoul for a very long time. It represents, light and dark, represents chaos and all that. It represents split personalities. There's just so many meanings that this theme could be applied to throughout the series of Tokyo Ghoul. And one of the big things is a chessboard or something, or a checkerboard. And in this, you have it to where Furuta mentions a checkmate. This is exactly what he says. I will bring an end to their useless, pointless squabbles here and now. Basically what the Washus have been doing for over 100 years. And he says, tell me, what does one need for a checkmate? An archenemy. Now, as we all know, checkmate is a big thing in chess. You make a move, you try to checkmate the king. You make it to where the king can no longer make any moves at all, and you win the match. And the entire time, Kaneki and Furuta have been those kings. They're the white and black king. Represents the checkered board pattern. They're on a chessboard. That's what they are. They're the two main contenders of this chessboard right now, and they're the big thing of whoever they represent on which side. We remember when Kaneki finally realized who he once was, there was a checkered board pattern. When he finally opened up, he smiled, and he had Arima tell him what he needs to do. he smiled, and we saw in his mind the checkered board pattern with black and white filled up with complete white, which represented he was the White King. His mind was clear. It was no longer clouded by darkness. And that was the symbol Kaneki was. He was the White King a part of the chessboard. While Furuta, he is the Black King. He is chaos. He is someone that is on the other side from Kaneki. But let's look at this chessboard symbolism going on here. Furuta is on one side of the room, and the clowns are on the complete opposite side of the room. The other side, completely opposite from where Furuta is. So this might represent the side that the clowns are on. Maybe they're not on Furuta's side after all. Maybe they're on Kaneki's side. Who knows? Because for them to be on the other side of the chessboard proves that they might not be with Furuta after all. Remember, they just like to see things. They like to watch things. But at the same time, they might, be on Kaneki's side. So maybe that's what she is trying to apply with this chessboard symbolism. Who knows? I could be wrong there, but that is a potential possibility. Anyways, though, we know that there's another piece a part of this chessboard now. It's no longer a match between 2 players. It's actually a match between 4 players now. It's a match between the dragon and the original One-Eyed King. Think about it. This chapter introduces Kaneki's piece, his new piece. Okay? His new piece is the original One-Eyed King, while Furuta's new piece is the dragon. So, it's kind of like a new chessboard has popped up. A whole new chessboard has just arisen. And that is the new pieces added to this game. It's not just Kaneki and Furuta anymore. There's 2 other kings, probably. Which is the dragon, and which is the original One-Eyed King. So, really interesting stuff when you think about it like that. The chessboard symbolism. So, with that being said, I think I've covered that. I think I've covered about everything I need. Oh, yes. Furuta wants to make a last boss. The last boss is apparently an ally to him, which is the dragon. So, that's the interesting thing. And we do know that Furuta is wanting to set up, like, Kaneki as a martyr as well. You remember that a long time ago. Maybe there's more to this. For Furuta to make a last boss, it might imply more to what he really wants as a person. We know there's more to his goals than meets the eye. We don't know exactly, but there's more to his goals than we are really aware of. And maybe some of the things he said to Kaneki when they had their combo with each other, and he was basically saying, why don't you just become a martyr and all that. Who knows? Maybe, he wants, he was making a final boss. He wanted Kaneki to be the final boss or something, but now he's making his own final boss. Who knows? Well, we'll see. Just, there's a lot of mysteries with Furuta's character. We just got to see where, Shida wants to take him. And I think that's about it with this chapter. So, I think I've covered everything. Let me see how long this has been. Oof. Ooh. This is about a 50-minute video. Oh, shit. Okay, so, I think that's about time to conclude this. So, yeah, sorry for being long-winded. I know many are probably not watching this video at this point. Forgive me. I'm so sorry, guys. That's why many like to complain about these videos, because they get a little bit too long, and I don't want to make people upset, but I just get really into Tokyo Ghoul, as you all know, so, yeah. You all have a wonderful day or not wherever you live. Thanks for tuning in if you did watch this video. Thank you for commenting and liking this video. It does help me out quite a bit, and I do appreciate it. Please be safe. Chibi out.